Hey, everybody. I hope everyone has had a great week, and I hope you're looking forward to maybe learning a little bit more about the almanacs. And as you can see here, I've kind of lumped those together and just wanted to give you a few key differences between our farmers' almanacs. That's almost a mouthful. You'll notice that there is a difference, and it's not just with the apostrophe, which is a long-standing joke. Anybody that's familiar with these two documents, but there is an old Farmer's Almanac, and then there's the Farmer's Almanac, and I'm just going to share with you a little bit of the key differences between the two. So I apologize for all the words up here, but I wanted to make sure that I covered that and you could have it to read along with me. But the old Farmer's Almanac was actually established in 1792. It was actually founded by Robert Thomas, and it's now based in Dublin, New Hampshire. So Robert Thomas believed that the Earth's weather was influenced by magnetic storms on the surface of the sun. So it was from this belief that he developed a secret weather prediction formula based solely on that belief. So it has been rumored that the notes about this formula are locked in a black box in New Hampshire. Now, the formula has obviously been refined over the years, and it's been said to include more scientific calculations. And now it utilizes these three disciplines you see here to make long-term predictions. And those are solar science, climatology, and meteorology. Now, solar science, of course, is going to be that study of sunspots and any other solar activity. The climate studies prevailing weather patterns, and then meteorology is the study of the atmosphere. Now notice there at the very bottom where it says accuracy rate is 80%, but you'll also notice there that many of our modern day meteorologists, they have their suspicions about that. They really doubt the level of accuracy here. And one of the reasons is because it's so hard to predict the weather more than 10 days in advance. And many of you probably know what I'm talking about because it seems like that's been the operating norm here, at least since, well, I guess maybe even Christmas with that big snow we had on Christmas Eve into Christmas Day here in Jonesboro, Tennessee. But nonetheless, a few of the cold and snowy, sleet, mixed precipitation weather patterns that we've had since then, actually in less than a month, they don't really want to predict beyond that 10 days in advance. So that's going to be one of the reasons meteorologists are a little concerned about this accuracy rate. Notice there that the predictions for the old Farmer's Almanac are made up to 18 months in advance, but they're actually encompassing 18 regions in the United States and even 7 in Canada. Now that's a little snapshot of the old Farmer's Almanac. Now when we turn the page and look at the Farmer's Almanac, this is going to be a periodical that's been in publication since 1818. So just a little bit later than the old Farmer's Almanac. Now this is one that's published in Lewiston, Maine. Now it actually started in Ohio, but is now in Maine. So their formula takes a little bit of a different spin. So it does look at sunspot activity, but also the tidal action of the moon, and then the position of planets and a variety of other factors, but we don't really know what those are. So the editors of the Farmer's Almanac, they deny using any type of computer satellite tracking equipment. They say they don't use weather lore and they don't use groundhogs. So that may not be very good for, what's his name, Puxatawny Phil in Pennsylvania, I believe. So actually, y'all, Groundhog's Day is not that far away, just a few short weeks away. So, I kind of appreciate that old groundhog sometimes because the prediction of how much longer we're going to have to endure winter. But sometimes, we know that spring is right around the corner and we're going to be digging in the dirt. But nonetheless, I digress there. So for the Farmer's Almanac, there's only one person who knows what the exact formula is, and that is Caleb Weatherby. And you'll notice that that's a pseudonym for whoever that individual may be. Another clear distinction here is that 80 to 85% accuracy rate that you see listed there at the bottom. And again, meteorologists don't necessarily buy into this. A little bit difference in the timing as far as predictions being made 16 months in advance here for 7 climate zones in the US and then 5 in Canada. So a little bit of difference when we talk about the weather. Now you see there on the left that big long bookmark looking graphic. Well, that is an infographic and it's very cool. So this is in your packet of materials and in the Google Drive. So make sure you pull that up. You do have to kind of scoot it around on your computer screen, but it's a really good depiction of the key differences between the Old Farmers Almanac and the Farmers Almanac. So just really cool to have that at the click of a mouse. So the question is, which one do you use? Well, both almanacs are published annually. Both of these are going to make predictions about the weather for the coming year. And just as a side note there, you see I have listed in parentheses, this was why they were so desirable hundreds of years ago, because the farmers loved having this information at their fingertips. And of course, that kind of evolved into fishermen, gardeners, anybody that needed to know what the weather was going to do. But farmers were one of the first, obviously being called the Farmers Almanac, that really appreciated having this months in advance. But now either one of these almanacs, kind of depending on which one you read, they're going to give you information on any of the upcoming astronomical events. So think back to the conjunction we had on the winter solstice right before Christmas. It's going to give you tidal information if you're at the beach and want to know the best time to be surf fishing. It's going to give you information on the sunrises and sunsets, any of the lunar cycles, including eclipses, and all kinds of good information there. The zodiac, planting during the signs. So you're going to find a lot of information in both of these about that. You're going to find information on cooking and recipes that coincide, and they're especially going to parallel produce coming out of the garden. So that's really cool. Or anything that you might be using on your homestead. Lots of gardening tips. Both of these documents are going to be chock full of that. Maybe providing just a little bit of difference maybe in their approach, but still great information in either one. You're going to get nature news and then again advice columns, and those are going to vary a little bit between the two documents. So what I've listed here on this screen are the two websites. Now the first one is the Old Farmers Almanac, and the second is just the Farmers Almanac. So you can kind of see a little bit of a difference there in their web titles. But either one of these are going to link you directly to their main landing page. And I wanted to just step in there and share that a little bit with y'all as well. Okay, so here we are on the main landing page for the Old Farmers Almanac. And I don't want to spend a lot of time here because I know you can maneuver through this just fine on your own, but just a few things that I wanted to point out. And I will tell you, in case you are wondering, I do purchase both of these every year. I love to read them, but the Old Farmers Almanac is my favorite. I'm not really sure why, but I think it's maybe because there's a little bit more of a focus on some of the lore and the old wisdom and wives' tales, things that we can still kind of parallel and make relevant in today's gardening endeavors. I'm very fond of the memories I have growing up on a farm back in Waynesville, North Carolina, Haywood County, and just knowing, both sets of my grandparents, I would hear a lot of the things mentioned in the Old Farmers Almanac through them. And I just appreciate, I guess, maybe getting to take a step back to maybe a more simple time and just learning, because, when you're little, you listen, but you don't always, or you maybe hear it, but you don't listen. Maybe that's a better way to acknowledge that, and you don't really think about it until you get older. So the Old Farmers Almanac kind of does that. It's almost nostalgic for me. So anyway, here we are on the landing page, and you can see the tabs listed there at the top, and you can just kind of see that drop down, how-to videos. There's podcasts that are really cool, and interestingly enough, they're called Garden Musings, y'all. I didn't steal this from them, but they've been in existence a little longer than me, but I swear I didn't know that till I guess it was last fall. But you'll see there's some advice on how to garden, pests and diseases, even on house plants. Really cool. You'll notice that the kids doesn't have a drop-down box, but with kids being at home now with so much virtual learning going on, there's a tremendous amount of information housed there to get kids involved and get them outside and gardening. But anyway, this landing page, it opens, of course, with the date. So today is January 12th when I'm recording this. But looky there, y'all, 67 days until spring. I kind of like that. When I log on here, I can see that. So, you know, it's just around the corner. Here are the two places that you can subscribe by email and get a little snippet sent to your email every day, or you can log on and to Facebook and like their page, and they also feed out daily snippets, which is really cool. Now, those of you that are my friend on Facebook, or if you're following Big Spring Master Gardeners, you've probably seen me sharing that. I'll typically share a lot of that information from the Almanac. Some of you had mentioned on your evaluations about gardening tools. Well, this is just really cool that I'm recording this today because right there it is, Learn to Grow, and it's a little paragraph on gardening tools. So, of course, it gives you the option to read more, and they just kind of put some different reading material there in that left-hand column. But I like this landing site because everything you can access right from this page. It's just a matter of scrolling down. And you can see there is where the moon phases are at, your weather conditions, and you can actually plug in to get it accurate to where you are. But this is one of my favorites. And of course, all of these are going to be accessible by those tabs at the top. But again, I kind of like having it on this front page. This is where all the lore and the wisdom and advice of the day comes in. And I just think these are kind of fun. It's a good way to take a break from the monotony of the day when we're all hard at work behind the computer screen. You know, sometimes I'll zip over and check this out. So today's weather folklore is he who eats the pig's eye can see the wind. So I think just in that short sentence, I've decided I don't need to see the wind. So I don't really need to eat a pig's eye, but you know, you have that option. I also, again, like this front page because today is the best day you see here to end projects, begin login, or set post report concrete. And I just kind of think this is cool to, you know, if you're going to get your hair cut, make sure it coincides with the day that is optional according to the signs to get your hair cut. So again, just a lot of fun to be able to utilize this information. Of course, right now on their landing page is the garden planner. I'm going to say this is great, but you know, we do have a 2021 home garden calendar out from University of Tennessee. So that's in your Google Drive. Make sure you check into that. We've put a lot of information throughout each one of those months listed in there as well. Okay. Our last stop for the evening is the Farmers Almanac landing page. And you can see, again, which one this is up here in the left-hand corner. It's going to look very similar to the old Farmers Almanac. You can see all the tabs there across the top. Not quite as much information, but it's a matter of preference, y'all. It's not to take away from either one of these, but you can see some of the different editor's picks there. This is a really cool one. I read this one just a few minutes ago. And 10 easy ways to bring, I think this is called Hygge, into your life. I think that's Scandinavian, maybe Swedish. I don't remember exactly right off the top of my head. Denmark, maybe. Seed starting. Some of you mentioned last week you love getting seeds started and germination. So pretty cool little article there. So kind of see what's trending and about the next moon. You can watch a little video there. So lots of information on both of these websites, y'all. It's again just a matter of preference. Okay, so there you have it. That was just a really brief introduction to our Farmers Almanac. You've got two documents there that you can choose from, the Old Farmer's Almanac and the Farmer's Almanac. And you'll notice there that reading either one of those is going to be super fun and full of information, a lot of gardening information. And you'll notice there that I read those both myself, and I do. I really do enjoy reading both of these documents. But the key here is just to remember, just as meteorologists don't put a lot of faith in the weather accuracy, it's much like, maybe planting by the signs. Some of us, with how we were brought up and raised, myself included, we did that. And that's a key component of the very core of who we are as gardeners. And that's something that, we're not going to be able to take out of the individual. And by no means am I saying that you have to not pay attention to the almanac. But I think the reason that I wanted to bring this into play tonight was because we, within the Institute, the land grant institutions, within Extension, we're providing research-based information. So it's almost the perfect marriage of the two, being able to hold intact how we were all brought up and maybe incorporate those elements of fun and lore and the way things used to be done, because I don't think we should ever forget a lot of those key components. But yeah, we also merge that with the present and all the things that we're doing on our research centers across the state of Tennessee, as well as each of your states. It makes it really fun to see all the things that are coming out. It's just, and I don't want to get ahead of myself because we're going to talk about that next week. But I just want y'all to maybe pick up a copy of one or both of these and just have fun reading. And if you got any questions, again, don't hesitate to reach out. And I think that is just going to finish this up for tonight, but I will see y'all next week on January 25th at 6:30 p.m. on Zoom. And we are going to talk about our land grant institutions across the U.S. and who they are and what they do. So y'all have a good week, and I'll see you next week.